Let me guess, you love feeding all the awesome snakes in your collection, but hate driving out of the way and paying hundreds of dollars a month to do it. Well, if that's you, keep watching this video because we might have a solution for you. Let's get into it. Happy Pura Vida Tuesday. It's Cody with Pura Vida Pythons, and in this week's video, we're going to be talking about when you should start breeding your own rats, why you should start breeding your own rats, and how to breed your own rats. Let's get started. So let's talk real quick about when, and when it comes to when you should start breeding your own rats, we're kind of just going to give you a number based on, honestly, money. And then we'll go into the why stuff, and then we'll kind of dive a little deeper in on the why. There's more variables. But as far as when goes, we think around 5 to 8, anything around 5, 8, or more snakes, you should probably just go ahead and start breeding your own rodents because you're already super deep into the hobby, and having your own rodents is going to pay off big. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about a few scenarios that might be why you should start breeding your own rats. Number one, the person you're buying rats from now doesn't have rats that week, doesn't have the right size rat for your snakes, or completely stops selling rats out of nowhere and now you're stuck with no rats. Number two, you buy rats and now your snake refuses to eat that week, goes on a feeding strike, who knows what, they're just not going to eat that week. Now you're stuck with a rat that you're unprepared to take care of and have to figure out something to do with. And number three, you're tired of spending time and money getting the rats every month. Let's finally get into how to breed your rats. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Right now, if you want to kind of show this, might get the light in there, it's no big deal. We have 4 different racks set up right now because that's kind of the numbers we're producing. Not only, obviously not just for our snakes, but for the people we supply them to in our community. We have ASFs there on the end. You can scale this to however you need. We need this many because of what we do. You might not. Here's the basics. You're gonna need somewhere to keep them, whether that be a rat cage, like if for a pet rat. We have racks with tubs. It could be either one of those. There's probably multiple different ways to keep them. You just have to have somewhere to house them. You have to have a male and female, and you have to have a food and watering system. And that's pretty much it. We can kind of go ahead and talk about what we do here. And here's what a typical tub for us looks like. We'll have one male. So we have the male here, as you can tell. Nice boy there with 3 females, and then we have some nice little fuzzies right here. So let's see how many are in this litter right here. It's kind of what we were talking about. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, about 15 rats. And so that's an average litter right there, especially for younger females. Females that are still in their prime, having good litters, you're gonna get about 15, maybe more in a litter. It's like we were just talking about. We run 1 and 3, sometimes 1 and 2 in each tub. If they get filled up and we're letting rats grow out, we have grow out tubs as well. That's something else you're gonna have to think about when breeding your own rats. Like we were saying earlier, you're gonna have a surplus of them. The truth about it is breeding rats is extremely easy and nothing too hard about it at all. You introduce a male and a female, or a male to multiple females, it's gonna happen. A little bit about rat husbandry and like with pregnancy and stuff. So they come into estrus about every 4 to 5 days, which means they're able to get pregnant. So if they do get pregnant, gestation is about 21 days, 3 weeks. They'll have their litter, and on that night, they can go into estrus again. So you might need to separate, you might need to leave. Leaving them in is harder on the moms, but it all depends when you pull the babies, stuff like that. This is kind of the science behind it. We're still figuring it out, but we've been doing it for a couple years now, so we feel like we're doing pretty good with our husbandry and stuff. Hard part is population control. And so when you're breeding your rats, let's say we had a 15 rat litter right here. If we only had 5 to 8 snakes, let's say the snakes are relatively the same size or not, what the truth is, this litter is going to be the same size throughout its whole life. You know, it's like in 3 weeks, these will be smalls. So if you feed these off at this size, you have to wait a whole nother 21 days to get them this size. Well, your snakes are probably going to want to eat before then, especially if they're small, eating this small size rat. Or if you have larger snakes, you have to wait 21 days for these to be born, and then 21 more days for them to get the smalls. So that's why you have to kind of have backups and multiple moms. You don't really need multiple males. You can cycle your male through. But it's math. I mean, you have to play around with it. That's what Michaela was just saying a second ago. Is like, you know, you have to figure it out. Start small, especially if you have a small collection, which you probably do if you're here watching this video, learning about how to do this. And so start with 1 and 1. You know, figure it out. Figure out how to work with rats, their husbandry, their care, what all you have to do with them. We're going to make a video about that. We kind of already have a couple videos about how to care for rats, how we do it and stuff. This is more about the breeding, kind of the science behind it, and the numbers with it, because it is a true thing. You've got to have a way to get rid of or find homes even. You know, we've sold some pet rats. But the easiest way that we have found and chose to actually make a business out of and help our local community is just selling our extra rats. And it's a great way to meet people in the community, develop friendships. Pretty much said the gist on how to breed them. You introduce them together, their breeding cycle, things like that. You just want to provide them a nice, good sized place to live. This is 1 and 3. I wouldn't go 1 and 4, and we're thinking about going down to 1 and 2. It's not bad when it's just like this. There's actually pretty good room for them to run around. But when they do start all having litters at the same time growing up, when they're in that wean stage before we can move them out, it does get a little crowded. So we're thinking about going down to 1 and 2s. Just depends on what we have to produce, but right now this works for us. A little bit about the husbandry of these rats. The reason you want your rats to be nice, healthy, and happy is they're going to produce a lot of really healthy babies. They're going to be healthy. They're going to be healthier longer. A rat's lifespan is between 1 and 2 years, so not a long time, but you do want to make it a good time while they're here. And like I was saying, because it benefits the quality of rats you're going to get from them. So you want to have a nice quality bedding, you know, nothing with any chemicals or anything with it. This is just pine shavings. It has as little dust as possible on it. There's obviously going to be a little dust on it, but we don't have our rats sneezing or anything like that, and we've never had any respiratory issues. So want to get a good, nice bedding, and people will do different things. We have pine pellets at the bottom to kind of soak up if any water comes from the water or any of their urine or anything. It kind of keeps that smell down too. So this is what their one little home would look like. And so if we put it back in the rack, we can talk a little bit about a rack. And if you were, I recommend the rack. You can do it very vertical. Obviously a cage is going to have take up a lot more square footage. This kind of, you just stack them in a shelf. So on the bottom we have our grow out tubs, and that's probably something else you're going to have to consider doing, especially if you have different size snakes. So we were trying to film, and I was going to actually like maybe give some recommendations, but we kept running into things like, what if this, what if that? So the truth is, you're going to have to play around with it. What works for you? Ratios, should I have 1 male to 2 females, 1 and 1, etc. Rats are very social animals, so you don't want to leave them alone for very long. If you're like pulling males so the females can be alone and then or to raise their kids. So you want to think about things like that as far as ethics and stuff and husbandry. But yeah, you're gonna have to play around with it on your own to fit your needs. Are you selling rats? Are you freezing them off? Are you giving the surplus away? So that's gonna kind of come down to the individual. But yeah, that's about it as far as breeding rats. It's very, very simple. There's like a lot of math and other things dependent on your situation that you have to deal with and figure out on your own. Now the last thing about like animal husbandry is obviously you want to find a good watering system. I have videos on that, how we make these, set them up, where we get it from, and then a good diet for them. Right now we're using a high protein dog food. We have used Combatch, we have used Missouri. This actually has, I think, maybe 3% more. I think it's a 21% blend here. I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look. But the rats love it. They actually have bigger, healthier litters, it seems, when I switched to this. So that's pretty cool, and it's a cheaper alternative to the specific rat food diet. So that's pretty much it with the husbandry and with on how to breed rats. And so hopefully you learned something from this. Like I said, it's kind of weird because you got to play around with your specific situation, but hopefully this helped you out a little bit, kind of gave you an insight on things to think about. I guess that's like the main point of this video, is things to think about, why you should breed rats and how to do it for your situation, what is going to work for you. But we love doing it. We love helping out our community. We love having our own rats that I can come in here anytime. Oh, this snake wants to eat. Boom, rat. I don't have to call somebody. I don't have to get some money together. I don't have to drive somewhere. That's the beauty of it. They're very cool little animals. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. Just keep them clean. Their upkeep is very easy. They're very smart animals, and we love working with them. We love having them here. Very easy to do, and it helps this whole operation run really smoothly. So hopefully you learned something from this video. If you did, leave a comment down below if you have any tips for us. We're still learning. Let us know if you've been breeding rats, what works for you. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments as well. Really appreciate you guys. Come back next week for another cool video. Until then, hope you have a great week. Peace.